ain't about it, we moving out. We go and get it and get it. Pull up in Romans like Rarries and Porsches, the engines is bigger and different. We talk about it, cause we about it. We put the business to business. Don't flip the script, or you get flipped. Don't you forget it, forget it. You ain't about it, we moving out.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Excellent, thank you for being here. So I'm just curious, Ronnie, what was the transition like from Arkansas to Utah?
I was a little different. I mean, I'm laughing because it's kind of ironic because being from Fayetteville, we don't get snow. We actually just endured one of our worst snowstorms in like the last decade or two. We had 11 inches over accumulation of days. But I grew up here in Fayetteville. My first place living outside of Fayetteville was Salt Lake City. So the weather was a huge drastic change because, I mean, it's snow-capped mountains, a lot of hills, a lot of valleys. So that was different, but, the people there were phenomenal. Some of the best fans that I've ever experienced in the NBA. They were very loyal. They came out there and showed love each and every night, supported the Jazz, supported the coach, each and every player, and welcomed us like we were part of the community. So it was great. And just being a journeyman in the NBA, like it's not like that in every city. You don't have sellouts in every arena. When we used to travel, it wasn't sellouts. Then we were going to places. So it was very humbling to be able to play for an organization like the Utah Jazz and a coach like Jerry Sloan, where everybody respected him, and they showed up in the thousands and thousands for each and every game.
Nice. So your dad is actually, he was in the NBA, correct?
Correct.
So what was that impression like growing up? Like, what was your first impression of the NBA through your dad's experience?
Well, my dad played in the 80s. And so I really don't remember any other time he was in the NBA. I really didn't even know he was in the NBA because...
Wow.
How would you not know your dad was in the NBA?
Well, y'all got to understand this. I've never seen my dad with hair before. In the 70s, he had a fro. He had like sideburns, all this hair. And then as a kid, I've never seen, my dad's been bald headed, and seen a picture and being like, that's not my dad. That's a guy that's younger, muscular.
That's
afro,
the guy with hair.
You know what I'm saying? And then I see my dad, he still had muscles, but he never had hair, didn't have facial hair. And then it took people telling me about my dad, his time at the University of Arkansas, his time at Fort Smith High School, and then his time in the NBA to be like, oh man, my dad was a big dealer. He was an NBA player. To me, it was just dad. He was
Nice.
just a regular dad, playing games at home.
And was he retired by the time he had you?
Yeah, well, no, he was still playing, but I mean, when he was in the league, it was his last, I was 3 years old when he retired. So I don't remember that. And then he played overseas for like a year and a half, and then we moved back to Fayetteville. So I don't remember him ever playing basketball. I remember him being gone for different things, but I couldn't put two and two together of like, what he was doing. So as I got older, he was kind of like a crutch I could lean on to ask questions about when I was going through recruiting, when I was, in college, and then when I made that transition to the NBA. So, and I still lean on him today about different things, ask him questions just to learn, because he's been through a lot of different things that I was going through or haven't gone through. So it was good to be able to lean on him for advice.
Of course.
Okay, so how was it receiving the Silas Hunt Legacy Award, since both you and your dad at the same university?
Yes, it was a big deal. And for those that don't know, like Silas Hunt, when they segregated, the South, he came to the University of Arkansas as one of the first African-American law students. He was treated very badly. It was kind of during the same time where you couldn't go to the same restaurants and drink the same water, ride the same bus, and different things like that. So it was tough for him at the University of Arkansas. He had a lot of trials and tribulations, faced a lot of adversity. And to receive a distinguished award like that meant a whole lot to me, especially all the people that have received that award. For me, I got it at such a young age. I felt like I wasn't deserving of it yet, that I had a lot more to do. But as we did our acceptance speeches, everybody who received their award included me in their acceptance speech, and that was very humbling, just because I wanted to I want to be known for what I do on the court as far as basketball, but you kind of got to know where you're from to know where you're going in life. And for me, I wanted to create my foundation and make an impact in my community and make an impact wherever market I was in playing in the NBA, and then give back to the kids and let them know that whatever their dreams and their goals are, it's achievable if you just put your mind to it and work hard at it. I was a kid from Fayetteville that went to the same schools, all these kids in elementary, junior high, and high school. Went to the University of Arkansas, but for us around here, that's the mountaintop. Like you've made it when you get a scholarship to the University of Arkansas, but to tell them, there's things outside of going to just the University of Arkansas. There's more. You can make it in professional sports. You can make it in whatever occupation you want to do. And I was one of the first student athletes to get back to this university in an area outside of the athletic department. And my thing to that was, if you go to a basketball game, you go to a football game, well, right now, not because of COVID, you see thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You see donors giving back their, endow with their names on the entrances or whatever it is. So money's not an issue for those areas.
Right.
And for me, giving back to the African American studies and the diversity program at the University of Arkansas, it hit close to home because, a lot of people know my dad because, he was a famous triplet, played in the NBA, but a lot of people don't know that my mom actually played basketball as well. A lot of people don't know that my sister ran track at the University of Arkansas, was All-American, and just recently they broke her record in the hurdles. But my mom was raised in a small town. She went to Ashdown High School. It's a farming community. My grandma, it's by Texarkana, Arkansas, between it's like a little bit like it's
I don't
southern.
know.
It's southern Arkansas, northeast Texas-ish, on the border of Arkansas and Texas. So the biggest town is Texarkana, but my mom grew up in a small town farming community, and a lot of those students or student athletes don't have the opportunity to go to the University of Arkansas. They have to go to a smaller community college because they just don't have the programs or the education or programs that allow them to make it to the University of Arkansas. So I wanted to help different people in these small towns in the state of Arkansas to make it to the University of Arkansas if they have that goal and that dream to do so. So I donated that money with the grant. And I've worked closely with that organization, that department at the university. And to me, working and different things like that in the community brings more joy than get my name called in the NBA.
So did you see, okay, because you said that you donated to something other than sports, did you see, because I did nonprofit, so I know that the schools asked for certain donations. So did you see the African American Study Department asking for donations and no one's giving it to them?
Yes.
Wow.
And I was able to build relationships with people who worked at the University of Arkansas who are African American professors. And we all went to the same church. And so, you would hear about it, you'd hear about the programs, you would hear about students. It would always come up around Black History Month, Martin Luther King Day. And I was like, well, school goes on it's year round. And we're only knowing about these programs on a particular month or on a particular day. And you hear about these athletic programs year round. It never stops. Even when they're not in season, you hear about recruiting and you hear about different fundraising and different donations like that. It's consistently going. And so I just wanted to speak up for the people who didn't have a voice. I always try to do that. The reason kind of being is when I came back to Fayetteville in the off season, I have a home here. I have a home here. I would come back and I would do a basketball camp. I would do like a backpack giveaway. Do, haircut. Well, I wouldn't do haircuts, but we would partner with the barbershop that would give haircuts. We would pass out school supply. We would come back and do a Thanksgiving giveaway as far as giving the food away. And then I was like, hey, man, not all people like myself, like I can cook, but I can't like make a Thanksgiving dinner for,
I'm sure you can, Ronnie. If you put your effort into it, I'm sure you can.
I probably could, but I wouldn't want to do it because I'd be like, man, I don't know how to do the turkey. I don't know how to do the dressing like my mom does it and stuff like. So, I would be like, I'd rather let somebody else do it. But in the same sentence, I was like, what if these people don't know how to cook the food that we're giving them?
Right.
And then we partner with the people to volunteer to be able to give their time and be able to cook the food for the people to come in and eat. We did, a coat drive. We did blessings baskets for kids to partner with the Children's Safety First Center to give presents to battered, abused women and kids that have been separated from that household. But like, I didn't have those ideas. People came and approached me like, hey, can you help us? Can you help us? Can you help us? And so like, you never know what's going on or what people are going through unless you're approached by or you hear it or by word of mouth. And so that's why my foundation continued to grow. And that's why we continue to help so many programs. And that's what led me to go help with the African American Studies.
Very wonderful. Very wonderful. I think that's amazing because I think society gets so distracted with the basketball player, but you are obviously way more than that. And so we appreciate that and recognize that. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no problem.
And being the face of your foundation and knowing what you stand for, do you operate like your business based on what can reflect upon you and your foundation? Like, for example, like, will you not invest in certain things that are a conflict of interest for the Ronnie Brewer Foundation?
Like, my thing is, and it's kind of ironic that you said that, because I also have a hair store that my mother and my sister, we partnered together. They run it. They I mean, I don't know. I don't have much weave, wigs, different like that, but it's a big industry. So we created a hair product store, hair tour in Fayetteville. It was going on year 12. And, we were kind of called out, Ronnie Brewer Foundation and Hair Couture, because we weren't doing certain stuff that was acceptable in the community's eyes. Like, we weren't on social media posting that we were at rallies and we weren't speaking up. And I just basically had to tell them, just because I don't post about being somewhere doesn't mean I wasn't there. You might have not saw me because I was at some rallies. Just because I don't use certain propaganda for people to say that, oh, I posted something about it. I'm more about action. I put my ear to the streets. I go to the community centers and I talk to these students. I talk to these people in the community. I go to churches and I talk to these people and advocate.
All about action.
I'm all about action. So when I saw people, there was one protest that was locally here in Bentonville that it didn't end that well. They tear gas people and stuff like that. They were like, where were you at? We didn't see you at that one. And I was like, well, no, I wasn't at that one in Bentonville. Heard it was going to get violence like that. And I'm not about violence at all. But while y'all were doing that, I was actually on a Zoom with 150 student athletes from Texas. My old trainer, Eric Land, he used to live in Salt Lake City, Utah. He used to train a lot of the Jazz, train football players, MMA fighters. He's now moved to Dallas, Texas. He reached out to me with the opportunities. Ronnie, tell your story to these guys, how you advocate the business you're in, how you're more than just a basketball player. And that's what I was doing. So I'm more about action and we do try to manage our business around the right message and getting the right message out there and doing it for the
in the league that you've looked up to?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of probably corny, but like growing up where I'm from and growing up in the state of Arkansas, like I said before, like the mountaintop is being an Arkansas Razorback. And if you get a scholarship there, you're like a legend and you're looked upon as, you know, if you did something in Arkansas, you're a big deal. So for me, I took it a step farther and I was like, man, you don't have to go to University of Arkansas because sometimes there's politics in it. Sometimes guys don't get recruited for where they live at or who their coach was, or there might have been another player that might have been better than them that year and had to go to a Euler or a UCA or a UAPB or a Ouachita Baptist or Hendrix or whatever your path is, whatever your journey is, is different for each and every person. And so growing up, Derek Fisher, you know, he went to Euler, huge guy that I looked up to. Not only was he an awesome role model to everybody, you know, he was a winner, won championship rings, looked up to Scottie Pippen. He's from Hamburg, Arkansas, went to University of Central Arkansas. Big guy that I looked up to, you know, great role model to other guys at Arkansas. Corliss Williamson went to Arkansas.
Anyone not from Arkansas?
I mean, to be honest, you know, that's all we knew. I mean, there wasn't, you know, we're not in a big city, so we didn't have like NBA. We didn't have guys to look up to. Like, you know, it was all University of Arkansas guys that were from Arkansas. And obviously everybody looked up to Michael Jordan because, you know, one of the greatest players. Everybody loved Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But you know, for me growing up, I just loved Kevin Garnett because I loved his intensity and his attention to detail and his passion for the game. You know, to me, my dad taught me just the fundamentals of basketball. I loved fundamental basketball players. I wasn't like a super flashy guy. I just wanted to play it the right way. So Tim Duncan was a big guy that I was like, man, he plays.
My brother loved Tim Duncan.
Yeah, he plays it the right way. You know, there's other guys from Arkansas like Sidney Moncrief that we looked up to. Todd Days from outside of Arkansas, from Memphis, but he went to Arkansas. Lee Mayberry, Oliver Miller. Joe Johnson was a guy that I've looked up to, like, you know, he was like a mentor to me, like a big bro, because he's pretty close to the age with me, and had a phenomenal career throughout the league. So, you know, those guys who I really looked up to. And then I've made plenty of relationships throughout the time I was in the NBA with guys, and relationships that I hold, you know, dear and close to my heart to this day.
Right. Thank you for that. So speaking of, you know, Kobe Bryant, in light of his legacy, you know, and I'm sure you hear this all the time. Mm-hmm. What is your most memorable moment playing with him?
Yeah, I can tell you right now. I mean, we've had a whole bunch of battles. Obviously, we were in the same Western Coast Conference, and you know, over the time when I was starting and stuff like that, you know, battled him day in, day out, multiple times in the playoffs. But I always tell this same story about my rookie year. You know, Coach Sloan was a super tough coach. That year coming in, we had Paul Millsap out of Louisiana Tech, and D Brown out of the University of Illinois. And, you know, D Brown had a storied career. Paul Millsap dang near left the NCAA in double doubles that year. And, you know, I came in as a 14th pick. And, you know, Coach Sloan always told us, man, you got to earn your minutes. You got to earn your minutes. You got to earn your time to play. So our playing time in our rookie years was sporadic. We never knew we were going to go in. He just knew that to be an ultimate professional, you have to be ready when your name is called. It's the next man up mentality. So we preached that. We're like, yeah, we're always ready. We're playing at the Staples Center. We always used to sit at the end of the bench. We're like, well, we're not going to get in the game. Kobe Bryant's having one of those games where, you know, he scored 30 points in the second quarter, but the second quarter by itself. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a video game. This guy is going nuts. like we've got the best seats in the house. This is the awesomest experience. We're getting paid for floor seats to watch Kobe Bryant go crazy. And obviously we're cheering for our team to win, but every time he scored, we're like, dang, did you see that? Yeah, that's a crazy shot, man. That's crazy. So we go into halftime, And, you know, us rookies probably hadn't played in 3 or 4 games. We're just like, we have our warm-ups on. Coach Sloan comes down, he throws something on the floor. He's cussing and screaming. He was like, man, all of y'all are scared of Kobe Bryant. And he's going down the line. You're scared of him. You're scared of him. You're scared of him. He's scared. And he gets to me and he's like, you're scared of him. And I kind of like made a face at him like, what? And he was like, do you have something to say? And I was like, I mean, not really scared of anybody, you know, but God. But, you know, do I respect Kobe Bryant? Absolutely. I said he scored 81 points in the game. I respect him, but I'm not scared of any man. He goes, are you sure about that? I was like, yeah, I stand by that. He was like, all right, you're starting the second half on Kobe Bryant then.
We're putting you
like,
in.
I was like, what? And so, you know, you hear all these horror stories about guys talking trash to him and like, you know, he takes it personal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so like, I remember like, I treated him like he was Medusa. Like, don't look at his eyes because it's going to make him mad. You got to keep your head down and work hard as you possibly can. That's literally what I did. I just try to compete on every possession, put a hand in his face, not let him get easy drives to the baskets for layups and dunks and just make him shoot contested jump shots. And after the game, he came up and he was like, hey, man, hey, young fella, man, way to compete, man. You know, you got, you know, that's the way to be ready, you know, because he was talking trash in the first half. Like, man, you better put some of the young boys in, man. You better switch Andre Kirilenko or Matt Harpring off me. And I'm like, dang, these dudes are vets. He's going crazy. And then I get the opportunity to go out there, and I would never say that I shut Kobe Bryant down or held him to any points because, again, he scored 81. But just the respect aspect that he gave me that, hey, man, way to compete. You know, that's what it's all about. That's what the NBA is about. And whenever your time is whenever your name is called, you got to be ready, and you were ready. So keep on working. And so I took that to heart. And every time we played each other, he knew I was going to compete as hard as I possibly could. He knew I wasn't going to talk trash to him. He knew I wasn't going to play dirty. It was just going to be a hard fought battle each and every time we played.
That's amazing. That's remarkable. So are you coaching now?
I am. I'm currently coaching and teaching at Fayetteville High School. I'm the head coach of the sophomore team, assistant JV, and varsity coach. I teach oral communication. And then in the spring and summer, I coach the 16 under Woods Elite basketball team in the EYBL circuit.
Amazing.
Say it again.
Is that part of your foundation, coaching the?
No, just my foundation. Like in the summertime, we do different programs in the summer. A friend of mine started this nonprofit, and for me, like we do the camp and stuff like that. But I didn't want to take away from the kids by putting my name on the team, because you know when you hear like the Kevin Durant team or the Russell Westbrook, or you're more, I mean, that's the first thing you think about is, oh, Kevin Durant's got a team, or Russell Westbrook's got a team, or Blake Griffin's got a team. Whatever player, you're not thinking, oh, they've got this kid, you know, John Jones from Fort Smith, Arkansas, who's really talented. You instantly think about the name on the jersey. And so that's why I didn't start a basketball program. But when my friend started it, it was a no-brainer to come and help out. I was the first one to ask me to help out in the organization, and I did just that.
That's really cool.
That's amazing. Ronnie, we really appreciate your time. You are definitely more than an athlete, and we appreciate that. We see that. We appreciate you taking your time, gracing us with your presence on Mixed Expressions. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Hope we see you again soon.